When meeting someone superior, isn't it normal to bring a small gift, like sweets? Can't you even do that? You're undereducated, aren't you? No wonder the performance here can't compare to the headquarters. It's because the branch is full of high school grads, isn't it? The division head from the headquarters, whom we'll call Terry, bombarded me with sarcasm during his inspection at the branch. However, he still doesn't know what my true identity is. But then again, I also don't know his true identity. Please go to the wonderful pastry shop just 5 minutes from here. I'll wait for you to return. I said this simply because I was in a higher position. Yet, the words I spoke with the intention of retaliation ended up connecting people instead. My name is Mark Thompson. I'm nearly 30, single, and while I don't have a girlfriend, I'm not particularly worried about it. That's because, whether you call it a hobby or personal life, I'm quite fulfilled. I've always loved eating, especially sweets, particularly pastries. From strawberry sponge cakes to cream puffs, from chocolate gateau to tiramisu, cheesecakes, panna cotta, madeleines, scones. The list of cakes and baked goods I love is endless. But of course, eating them as much as I like every day would inevitably ruin my health. So, to prevent that, I make sure to exercise more than I eat. I go to the gym and do strength training at home just to eat sweets. Whether that's right or not, thanks to that effort, no matter how much I eat, I don't get fat. Instead, I just keep gaining muscle. And before I knew it, I was known as a muscular guy who loves sweets. There is my favorite patisserie I found recently. It's a little shop called Licht, run solely by a woman. It sells mainly German baked sweets which last long. The additive-free sweets made from local ingredients are so safe and delicious that they are even delivered as snacks to a nearby nursery. Biscuits, chiffon cakes, and other products with low oil and sugar content have a gentle sweetness and a nostalgic taste that I really enjoy. As I frequented the shop, I got to know Lucy, the owner, and as we became friends, she started teaching me about her products. I started to get all my gifts for business partners from Licht, and Lucy was very grateful for it. The company I work for is a major medical equipment manufacturer's branch, different from the headquarters in New York, located in a more rural area. But the air is fresh, and the tranquil townscapes mean a more relaxed atmosphere and flow of time than in New York, making it a popular place to work among the employees. We supply medical devices to hospitals all over America, and despite being in the countryside, there's plenty of work. Perhaps it's the countryside air, but even though the branch employees might seem a bit laid back at first glance, when it's time to get down to business, they're all capable, which is why I trust them completely. Then one day, as I arrived at work, the office was a bit noisy, and as I was wondering why, a colleague approached me. "Mark, have you heard?" "Heard what?" "About the new division head, Terry, from the headquarters." "Terry?" "Yes, apparently, someone new has been appointed, and it's all anyone talks about here right now. It seems to be about the headquarters." "Is he really such a big deal?" "That's the thing. He's been headhunted by President Thompson himself from another company." "Mr. Thompson did? Well, he must be really competent then." "Yes, it's amazing. Not just the new guy but also Mr. Thompson for managing to headhunt him. It appears Terry is quite the sharp individual. He was extremely competent in his previous job, and it's said that the atmosphere at the headquarters changed with his arrival. He's been reviewing all operations from the ground up, and there are rumors of upcoming staff restructurings. The branch has been abuzz with rumors about what kind of person Terry is, which is why it's been so noisy since the morning. Everyone gossips about him, but in their next breath, they express their reluctance to work with him, saying, "It's clear he's a capable person, but I wouldn't want to work with him. He seems scary." Well, it's understandable that the employees might feel uneasy about changes in the workflow and restructuring, even if such efficiency improvements are beneficial for the company. But despite my colleagues' hopes, one day we received an internal email announcing that Terry would be coming to inspect the branch. An inspection means someone will have to act as a guide, right? I really don't want to do it. He seems strict and likely to bombard us with questions. I'd rather not be the guide either. Same here, I'd prefer to avoid it if possible. When employees from the headquarters come for an inspection, there must always be someone assigned as a guide. However, after hearing the rumors, everyone was reluctant to guide Terry. I'll take on the role of the guide. Really, Mark, are you sure? Yes, someone has to do it anyway, and it seems like everyone else would rather not. But it's fine, it's just guiding. Everyone looked at me as if I was a savior, which made me smile a bit. To begin with, I should prepare some coffee and sweets for the day of the inspection. With that thought, I headed to Licht after work. Hello. Oh, welcome. As I entered the store, it seemed like Lucy was wearing a somewhat downcast expression. Despite usually having a bright and beautiful smile, today it seemed clouded. In her hand was something that looked like an old photo, and the moment she noticed me, she hurriedly tucked it into her pocket. Is something troubling you? If you're okay with it, I can listen, but if you'd rather not talk about it, that's totally fine. After saying that, I regretted asking such an intrusive question. Everyone has things they don't want to talk about or be asked about. The fact that she hid the photo earlier was proof of that. Maybe I shouldn't ask after all. Just as I was about to speak again, Lucy shared with a sorrowful look, actually, it's almost my brother's birthday. Your brother? Yes, though it's been over 10 years, almost 20 years now since we've seen each other. I see. My parents used to run a store called Licht, just like this one, in a different place. My brother and I grew up surrounded by cakes and baked goods from a young age. Our daily snacks were usually the unsold cakes, so much so that we got tired of eating them. That's amazing. It's a dream environment for someone who loves sweets. You might not like me saying this, but I'm quite envious. To think that she could eat cake every day, even if they were unsold items, is unimaginable to me. In my family, cakes were a special treat reserved only for birthdays and Christmas. All my friends used to say the same thing, but because I ate them every day, I never felt anything special about having a whole cake on birthdays or Christmas. I often said I didn't want to eat cake anymore. Is that so? Yes, but when I was in elementary school, my parents passed away in an accident. What? At that time, my brother and I were taken in by different relatives. That stuff. Yes, at first, my brother and I kept in touch for letters, but then they suddenly stopped coming. I sometimes wonder if my brother has forgotten about our parents and me. I really miss the cakes our parents made and often cried. I haven't seen my brother since, and I have no idea where he lives or if he's even okay. Every year around this time, I can't help but think of him. I wish I could see him. Lucy shared her painful story with tears in her eyes. I made her cry by asking. Finding the right words was difficult. The photo earlier was of your brother, wasn't it? Yes, it was. I'm sorry for such a heavy story. It's unpleasant, isn't it? I thought you seemed kind enough to listen, so I took advantage of your offer. Thank you. No, I haven't done anything. Does your brother know about this shop? The thing is, I don't have a way to contact him. I've tried asking the relatives who took in my brother when I was training to be a pastry chef, but they said they haven't kept in touch since he graduated high school. I see. There's a cake called Kay's Tort that we used to eat on our birthdays. My dream is to have him try it someday. Kay's Tort. Yes, it's one of the cakes over there. Looking into the display case, what appeared to be cheesecakes were lined up. However, there was a tag labeled Kay's Tort. To me, it looked just like a cheesecake, but maybe it uses some special ingredients that make it different. I didn't quite understand the difference, but decided to keep my thoughts to myself. Mark, thank you for listening to such a dark and heavy story. No problem, I'm here to listen whenever you need me. I appreciate it, thank you. Here, let me offer this as a service for listening. What? No, that would be too much. Please, consider it a thank you for listening to me. Saying that, Lucy wrapped up a case torte for me in addition to the cake I had ordered. When I got home, I tried it. The simple, unadorned cake was indeed similar to a cheesecake. I thought it was so well balanced with sweetness and acidity that I could eat it indefinitely. And 2 days later, today is the day Terry comes for the inspection. All the employees were lined up with tense faces to welcome Terry. Even when President Johnson visited, there was never this much tension among everyone. I wonder what kind of person Terry is. By the time I started to feel truly nervous. Good morning. The man who arrived with a deep voice was tall, slim, and wore glasses, and just as the rumors suggested, he looked like someone who was competent at his job. Thank you for taking the trouble to come here. I will be your guide today. My name is Mark. Mark, nice to meet you. I'm Terry, the head of the department. Thank you for your time to guide me today. The pleasure is all mine. Amidst immense pressure, Terry's sharp eyes captured the entire branch and all the employees, tightening the atmosphere instantly. Perhaps because he seemed a bit nervous, it felt as if everyone suddenly stood up straighter. Before starting the tour, we exchanged business cards, and Terry seemed to snort at mine, as if amused. Anticipating this reaction, I didn't let it bother me and proceeded to show Terry around the office. This is the sales department. On the same floor, we also have the administrative and HR departments. It's basically the same setup as the headquarters. I see, it's a familiar sight. The difference from the headquarters is that we have a laboratory here, which is used for testing product strength and durability. May I see it? Of course, I'll show you around. As I was explaining the facilities and unique aspects of this location, Terry suddenly said, "By the way, isn't it normal to present a gift when meeting someone superior, like sweets or something?" Excuse me. I was waiting to see when they would appear, considering the tour was ongoing. I see. May I ask, if you don't mind, what is your highest educational attainment? I graduated from high school. After I answered as asked, Terry sneered condescendingly. I thought as much. That explains why the performance here isn't as good as the headquarters. It's because the staff here are undereducated. Terry laughed mockingly. I responded to Terry with a laugh, as if to return the favor. Maybe you're right, Terry. By the way, you mentioned presenting sweets to someone superior, right? There's a very good pastry shop 5 minutes from here. Please feel free to visit. I'll wait for you to return. I hope he'll forgive my tone getting a bit sharp. To say our performance is lacking because we're all high school graduates. That's harsh. What did you say? What are you talking about? As expected, Terry began to get angry, and I handed him another business card, different from the one I had given earlier. This is... Let me introduce myself again. I'm Mark, serving as the vice president of the company. I look forward to working with you. The business card I handed over had vice president following a company name. In fact, I am the son of President Johnson of this company and hold the title of vice president. However, since I am still in training, I wanted to work alongside the other regular employees when I am at the branch, so I identify myself as a regular employee. Only a few people in the headquarters know about me, and the colleagues I am working with now are unaware that I am the vice president. I only use this vice president business card when greeting executives or showing myself as the heir at external parties. Although I always carry it in my suit, I never thought I would use it in such a situation. The employees of this branch may indeed include many high school graduates, and it might seem laid back at first glance. I am well aware that our performance may seem inferior to the headquarters when looking solely at the numbers. However, I believe everyone here works very hard. They have a good work-life balance and are more earnest about their work than the employees at the headquarters. Education doesn't matter. After all, why do you need to compare the performance of this branch, located far away in the countryside, to the headquarters in New York? The population here is smaller, and the amount of work is on a different scale from New York. Yet, everyone here continues to strive daily to generate profits. It might be hard for you, who is new to this area, to understand, but we have our way of doing things here. Please don't underestimate us. Before I knew it, I had launched into an impassioned speech. It couldn't be helped. Terry in front of me was saying such terrible things. Indeed, this place is rural, and not many people are from national or well-known private universities. As Terry said, there are many who only graduated high school. But that doesn't mean they can't do their job, and I know very well that everyone is trying their hardest. When I glared at him fiercely, Terry seemed taken aback and flustered. Then, for some reason, he suddenly began to apologize deeply. "Mr. Johnson, I am terribly sorry for my earlier disrespectful remarks. Please forgive me." His apology was so swift that now it was my turn to be surprised and flustered. What? It must have been surprising to suddenly have such a rude guy come in. "What do you mean?" To his question, which was hard to answer with either yes or no, Terry smiled and said, "I understand it must be troubling for you to hear such things. Actually, President Johnson asked me to observe you." "What?" "I apologize for testing you and for my extremely rude remarks." "What in the world?" Confused and holding my head, Terry looked at me with an amused smile. This was different from the mocking, unpleasant smile from before. It was a genuinely amused smile. The Terry I had been dealing with until moments ago, and the Terry standing before me now seemed like two entirely different people, leaving me with nothing to do but blink in disbelief. "President Johnson mentioned that you are very dedicated to your work but might be too kind-hearted. So he wanted me to judge if you are suitable as the next president. That's why I came here." "I see, that makes sense, but was it necessary to act in such a manner?" "My apologies. That was also instructed by President Johnson. He wanted to see how well you understand your employees and whether you could protect them, regardless of whether it's the headquarters or the branch office. So he told me to play the role of the unpleasant guy to check." What on earth was my father thinking? "So you came all the way here just to put on such an act?" "Yes, there was indeed a plan for inspection. To that, President Johnson added the task of inspecting you. However, it was very clear how much you care for the employees of the branch. You understand and can protect them well. I'm convinced. I'm almost envious of the employees here. You truly were remarkable, and I plan to report this to President Johnson." Okay. It was truly wonderful. I was moved. To think I went on such a tirade, only to find out it was all a test. The embarrassment is beyond words. Feeling as if my face was about to burst into flames from embarrassment, I turned away from Terry, saying, "Please, give me a moment to gather my thoughts." Terry agreed with a laugh, saying, "Yes, of course," which only made my cheeks burn even more. Just then, my cell phone rang. I excused myself to check the screen, and seeing it was my father's name, I answered in a hurry. The prank was a huge success, he exclaimed with a loud laugh, leaving me speechless. "Dad, how about it? Were you surprised? Terry's acting was perfect, wasn't it? I knew he'd be good at this." I was ashamed enough to wish I could just disappear. This must be the perfect situation for such a phrase. I never wanted to know, even over the phone, that my father was laughing about a successful prank. As I sighed heavily, Terry took my cell phone, saying, "Excuse me, Mr. Johnson," and began to speak with my father. "Mr. Johnson, your son is a truly admirable person." I was moved. With him in charge, I believe our company's future is secure. After conveying just that, Terry handed back my cell phone. As I put it to my ear again, I heard my father laughing, saying, "It's good to hear that Terry approves of you." At that moment, all I could do was collapse to my knees. After hanging up with my father and regaining my composure, I realized I might have caused the most trouble for Terry and apologized, saying, "I'm sorry for my father's behavior." But Terry, with a smile, forgave me, saying, "No, I also enjoyed it." Regaining my spirits, we moved to the reception room, where I served the case tort I bought from Licht. Lucy had given it to me as a service, and I liked it so much that I bought it for today's tea time. Terry's eyes widened at the sight of it, and he murmured, "Case tort." While I found it curious that he could distinguish it wasn't a cheesecake but a case tort, I explained, "I bought it from a pastry shop about 5 minutes away. It's really delicious, and I'm quite fond of it." "Is that so? I used to love case tort back in the day, but I haven't had it for a long time, so I'm delighted. Could I possibly get the name of the shop?" "Yes, it's called Licht." When I showed him the shop's website on my tablet, Terry's eyes widened in surprise. Then, after hesitantly taking a bite and slowly swallowing it, he pleaded, "Mr. Johnson, I know it's presumptuous of me to ask, but could you take me to the shop where you bought this?" He pleaded earnestly. Seeing how desperate he looked, I was reminded of a story Lucy told me the other day. Could it be? With that faint hope, I nodded to Terry. We then left the reception room and headed towards Licht. During the short journey, Terry kept apologizing for taking me away from work, but I asked him to stop because I was hoping that my faint expectation would turn out to be true. And then we arrived at the shop. Looking at the sign with the shop's name, Terry had an indescribable expression on his face. "Hello." "Oh, Mark, welcome. Are you first time here?" "Lucy, it's Lucy, isn't it?" "Terry." "It is Lucy, it's been so long." "Terry, why are you here? How, why?" Seeing Terry's face, Lucy came out from behind the counter in tears. The two embraced, savoring their reunion, and Lucy was sobbing uncontrollably. The hope I had held turned out to be true, and my heart was trembling. They were siblings who had reunited after 20 years. "Terry, what are you doing now? Where do you live now?" I called Ann's place, but she said she didn't know anymore. "Actually, I'm working at a company in New York now. I'm here on a branch inspection, and Mr. Thompson introduced me to this shop's cheesecake. I insisted on coming here because I was sure the taste was yours." "Is that so? What about before? I was worried something had happened to you because the letters suddenly stopped." "Yeah, I'm sorry. There was a lot going on, and I couldn't even think about writing letters." Terry began to reminisce about the past, speaking in bits and pieces. "The aunt's house I was taken to was very strict. They welcomed me because they had no children, but the pressure was immense. I was expected to get good grades, attend a good high school, a good university, and repay their kindness by landing a good job. Of course, I intended to do so without being told, but the pressure was so overwhelming, I'm surprised I didn't rebel." "I see. Yeah, so I was desperate to improve my grades and pay them back, and I lost the luxury of writing letters to you. I'm really sorry for worrying you." "It's okay, as long as you're healthy, that's all that matters to me. Thank you for coming to see me." "Me too. Thank you for keeping Dad and Mom's shop going." The two continued to rejoice in their reunion. Now, they could meet whenever they wanted. Seeing them smile, I was on the verge of tears. It seems the cheesecake Lucy made was a recreation of the taste their parents used to make. "I never thought I'd be able to eat your case tort, but you managed to recreate that taste without a recipe." I remade it over and over until it finally resembled the original. It's the taste of our memories, after all. I didn't want to lose it. I always believed that one day you'd eat it and tell me it's delicious. That's all I ever thought about. Hearing that, I couldn't hold back my tears and cried, "I'm so glad. Really, I'm so happy." Hey, why are you crying? I'm just moved. That's what we're worried about, you being too kind. You'd cry too, right? You're such an emotional person. Even though I might have dampened the touching moment of the siblings' reunion, I was truly happy they could meet safely. After a while. Hello. Mark, welcome, you're early today. Ever since Terry came, the efficiency of our work has improved, and I've been able to leave right on time. Even though he's been back at the headquarters for a while, he still keeps an eye on everything, and the employees don't have a moment to relax. That's so like a brother. Terry had returned to the headquarters, and I continued to visit Lucy's shop as usual. By the way, I've always been curious, what does Licht stand for? It seems to mean light in German. My brother named it. Terry did. Yes. When our parents were thinking about what to name the shop, my brother suggested, let's name it something starting from L like Lucy. Is that so? Yes. He's been sweet on me since I was born. It's a bit embarrassing, but that hasn't changed. Not at all. It's good to have a close relationship with your siblings. That's wonderful. Thank you. Now, they regularly keep in touch, and Terry occasionally visits, making up for the lost time and maintaining a close sibling bond. It's all thanks to you, Mark, that I could reunite with my brother. I hadn't had the chance to properly thank you. I truly appreciate it. No, I was happy to be part of such a moving moment. As we were laughing, the door behind us suddenly opened. Terry. Hi, Lucy. Mr. Johnson, how are you? Terry, thank you for your hard work. It's been a while. It was Terry who had come, taking a half-day off just to visit. We exchanged pleasant greetings, but Terry couldn't help making a snide remark. Anyway, every time I come to see Lucy, you seem to be here. No offense, but do you have some free time? Maybe you should head back to the headquarters. But knowing he was joking, I played along. I was intending to do just that, but unfortunately, my father still sees me as green and told me not to come back yet. It's you who should consider transferring to the branch if you're taking half days off just to visit your sister. Of course, I've applied for it, but President Johnson won't allow it. It seems we're in the same boat. As we teased each other, we ended up laughing, and I felt a bit happy to have this kind of banter with him. It seems Terry doesn't like me being close to Lucy, showing signs of being a protective brother. Lucy seems happy about it too, so probably that's fine. Imagine, Terry, feared and kept at a distance by everyone at work, is actually this sweet and fond of his sister. If everyone knew, they'd be shocked. No, it might just become the perfect gossip. The rumor would spread to the headquarters in no time. I looked at them, finding the scene heartwarming. The carefully made sweets had reconnected the bond between the siblings that had been interrupted. Their hearts must have always been with each other, and that has finally borne fruit. It's almost like a miracle. Life is unpredictable, capable of bringing about such miracles. Mr. Johnson, are you still here? Shall we have some of Lucy's cake together? Is that okay? Don't think it's a treat, okay? Since you've come all this way, please contribute to the shop's sales. Plus, Lucy seems to be busy with work. How about we discuss work while sitting over there? When it comes to work, you can be quite intimidating. Please go easy on me. That depends on you, Mr. Johnson. Terry, don't drag Mark into this just because you're lonely waiting by yourself. Lucy, what are you saying? Mark, I'm sorry to involve you in this, but if you have time, please keep him company. Understood. I thought to myself, watching their smiling faces.